Hey folks, welcome back to Straight Talk Whiskey for episode number 24. I'm Nick, and we're glad you joined us because this whiskey review marks our 6-month mark in the game of whiskey reviewing here. So that's that's great. Thumbs up there, and another thumbs up for surpassing 1,000 likes on Facebook. So we appreciate that. Really thankful to all the people that we have following us, and kind of just adding their own views and opinions and just kind of following us along on this journey, because it's been awesome so far. So let's get into the whiskey we're reviewing today. Now there are two firsts here. This is the first whiskey, they claim, in the world that's been finished in cider cask, which is interesting. And also, this is the first review of this Tullamore finished in cider cask that I can find anywhere. So let's call that a verified first. Hopefully somebody else, I guess, would have to verify that for me, seeing I'm doing the review here, but maybe that person's out there. So what we have here is kind of something I came across by chance, heading back from a trip, 2-week trip to Ireland. Was in Dublin Airport looking around at the wonderful collection of spirits they have in there, especially Irish whiskey. And so I saw this bottle on the shelf, and I just had a couple tastings of a few other things, and I said, I asked about it because I had just been to the Tullamore Visitor Center and hadn't seen anything about it, so I asked about it, and they said, well, you can go over, Tullamore's got a little thing set up. And so yeah, I actually sampled this in the airport, and I was like, I have to have a bottle of that. Not only because I can't get it anywhere else, and I had never, seen it, obviously, anywhere, because this is brand new, but also it tasted really good. So I had that going for it. So I picked up a bottle. It does, if you're wondering, it does look a little bit bigger than traditional bottles, standard bottles, I guess, that you'd find a majority of. This is the 1-liter bottle. It's bottled at 40% ABV. Now, what you have inside is still, the same triple distilled, triple blended, meaning they're using grains of, the pot still, the malt, and grain in their mash bill to come up with the classic Tullamore we all know and love. But, getting into maturation, still have the aging in Oloroso sherry and bourbon cask, but what we have here at the end is a finish in some wonderful cider casks, which I can only imagine where they got them from. I would like to know, because I'd buy that cider. As we know, as renowned as Ireland is for their whiskey making, they're also, pretty good with the cider making too. So if you've kind of perused around in that market. Now, so yeah, just trying to see what else is here on the bottle that I can give to you. You said 1 liter, 40% ABV. I kind of would have liked it, something like this being at 43, 46, something like that. But, it's alright. You got a little tag on here for if you're following along at home. So, I actually haven't cracked this bottle open, so I'll hope it's the same taste as what I got in the airport, but hey, you never know. Let's pour a little here. Also got a nice little, as you can see, it's actually a hip flask that Tullamore was giving out. It's kind of like a freebie to go along with it. And so this is actually the box that I have standing up. Irish True, nice Tullamore Irish whiskey flask we got going on there, which is lovely. I'll have to carry that around somewhere. The laws around these parts are so strict, it's hard to find any place where you can have, a flask, except for maybe like a family get-together or something like that, or maybe a bar or something like that. I don't really know, because I haven't carried hip flasks around with me in the past, but I'm tempted to now that I have one. So let's get into it. Color, it looks pretty similar to what Tullamore's standard line is. You'd probably expect me to say, oh, it does look like there's a little influence there from the cider, but I'm not really seeing that. looks like the standard color to me. Give it a little stroll, as our friend Ralphie says. Stroll around the glass. Now, looking at the legs that are appearing on here, it does seem to be aged a bit longer, I guess, than maybe a standard entry-level whiskey. You know, like a Jameson or just Tullamore standard bottling Bushmills or something like that. They don't actually say how many years. I believe somewhere on here it says, oh, let's see if we can find it. Aged, yes. While a triple distillation guarantees the ultimate smoothness, aging this unique blend for many years in Old Oloroso Sherry and Bourbon Oak Cask before finishing in cider class, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, many years. Now, you may know what many years equates to. I haven't yet received that education how many years the term many is. So, you know, I don't think it hurt getting a little age statement on it, but hey, it's not the worst thing in the world. You know, there could be other things. So let's go in for the nose. You know, right off the bat, what you get is the apples. Definitely apples are the predominant thing in there. There's a slight hint of the maltiness. The malt quality in this is definitely coming out, and I think that's definitely helped out by the cider cask finish in there. Just slight honey in there. A little bit of the you know, the bourbon barrel notes coming in there, a little vanilla-ish, and definitely what you get is kind of the fuller body spiciness, if you will, from Tullamore that we all know. It's definitely very nice. So the first thing is definitely the cider in there. Slight hint of acidity, but only a little bit. It's crisp. It's clean. It goes a little bit quick. It kind of, you get that initial taste kind of on the tip of the palate, and then it kind of rushes down, kind of like a water slide down the back of the throat. And what you're left with is just really kind of mellowed out fruitiness, slight malt characteristic to it. But like I said, the mouthfeel, real quick. It's not oily, doesn't linger around too long, but it does have this nice little refreshing kick, especially with the apples there. Sort of also kind of a more earthy, like grassier note. Yeah, definitely sense that in there. Yeah, you can tell the apple essence of this whiskey, of what's in there in terms of the nose and flavors. Is a really rich, fully ripe, you know, apple. It feels kind of like they got the best of the lot when they made the cider that went into finishing this, because it's really, really nice, high quality there. So with this fruitiness, the one thing, I guess just a comment coming back to this, because you know when you're tasting it at the airport, it's kind of hard. You've got everything else going around you that's kind of like, you know, blessed, and kind of the sensories going on in your mind. But, you know, I feel like the bourbon cask influence on this whiskey, which, like I said, is standard of Tullamore, and how they age their, you know, standard line, as well as the Oloroso Sherry. But the bourbon cask, it kind of brings down this woodier note, kind of you've ever had like a popsicle or something like that, and you get down to the end, and all you're left with is like a stick, and you've got some last little specks of the fruitiness of whatever ice cream or popsicle you were having, and then you just kind of have the wood that kind of just numbs down all the flavors, kind of brings you back to like this kind of more basic grounded palate, you know, kind of like setting the dial back to zero sort of thing, and resetting. I feel that's kind of what the bourbon influence is doing here. I think, you know what, I think, and this is just a personal opinion, if they had just aged it in the Oloroso sherry and then finished it in the cider cask, maybe for a bit longer than whatever this was finished for, in terms of time, just because I think that would have given a more streamlined, this kind of fruitiness that's going on. I would like to see what came out with the 12-year Special Reserve, if they had taken that whiskey, you know, which has these sweet and predominant notes of the Oloroso sherry in there. If they had taken that and then finished that in the cider cask, how much of a difference that would have made? Would it be better? Would it be worse? I don't know. But just kind of thinking out loud. So there you have that. I'll go in for one more taste and then wrap this up. It's definitely lovely, you know, for what it is. You know, I think it's good. It's a good addition to their line. I know it's just a special release, but if you're sort of a connoisseur, and especially if you've had the other versions, you know, other variations within the Tullamore line of products of whiskeys, I think you'll definitely find this to be interesting, and you can kind of, if you were to take out all the lines, you can definitely see all the ones that we've reviewed on here, and if you were to put them in order, kind of where you place it in that order according to your own preferences, I think would be, you know, interesting. And it's definitely interesting in and of itself just to have something that's been finished in cider cask. You know, but I do think, like I said before, the bourbon cask, that's already been said, but I also think, you know, we got to bump the ABV up just a little bit. You know, I know it's kind of just getting it down to the minimums, put out as much as you can, and sell to as many people as possible. That's the standard, that's the way things are going. And it's not to knock them, you know, like I said, it's the way things are. You gotta mass produce these things as much as you can, get as much, you know, bang for your buck out there, and, you know, sell it to people. But, you know, we're not dumb. You know, we as whiskey enthusiasts, and even if you're just starting, you're still an enthusiast, up to the connoisseurs and the experts and the bloggers and I already said experts, but so yeah, all these people, we have more, we're trying to build off, and I'm not trying to sound pretentious, but we're just trying to educate ourselves and build up our palate so that we can taste more of these finer things, and then we can comment on it. You know, we can talk about it to people like, oh, well, I noticed kind of a heavier bourbon cask influence there, and oh, this seems like it's been aged for a long time, or this feels like the distillation was, you know, kind of rushed, or something like that. All these different things, all these different aspects that go into making whiskey. It's not complicated, but it's immense. You know, there's a lot to it. There's a lot of variations, that sort of thing. So, to kind of come around, you know, come back to the beginning here of what we were talking about, just saying that, you know, it's nice to have quality, basically, over quantity. And people will pay for quality, I think, more than slapping a label on it, because that's the thing now. It's finishes. That's one of the biggest things, because and this is getting off on a tangent, and I apologize for it, but especially, you know, they talk about the shortage of whiskey going around all over the world because demand is up. So what we start seeing is the no-age statements and these special releases and limited bottlings, you know, so that they can, you know, get more money to start, to support themselves while their, spirit is maturing in the warehouses, before it can even be bottled. So they got to come up with something, but always quality. Can't say enough about it, because we know. Those of you watching out there who have a handle on this kind of thing, we're watching. So yeah, so that's it. Let's get to the score. I think last week I missed out on the score because I'm just absent-minded sometimes, and we got doing so many things there for a while that there was nothing to compare it to, so I wasn't doing scores. So we'll get back into it because it's not a flavored whiskey like I said, so this can be scored. And so let's see here. This is kind of on the fly. So for Straight Talk Whiskey, episode 24 of the Tullamore Dew, finished in cider cask, going to give it a 85, if that's in frame, out of 100. So I think I've already kind of explained enough about kind of what I think about this and everything to kind of validate the score. The next upcoming 2 months, I will be away from the normal shooting location, studio, if you want to call it that, of Straight Talk Whiskey, and we're going to have some on locations, various parts of the East Coast, if you will. Don't need to give out the exact location there, but we're on the East Coast, I can promise you that. And so we'll have hopefully we'll get some unique things going on. Hopefully some of the smaller craft distilleries that are up along, popping up along the East Coast that, are producing pretty good quality stuff, would be nice checking out. So with that said, have a great week. As always, drink responsibly, and we'll see you next time.